Keselowski. Go a little bit further back. We mentioned Ricky Carmichael restarted in the 11th. He has dropped back to 14th, but in his Nationwide Series debut, I think you'd have to give him at least a B+, if not an A-.
I'm impressed with his run today. I didn't know what to expect out of him, but he came here, looked like he had the right plan about what he wanted to accomplish today, and it looks like he's pulling it off, Jamie.
He was very serious about it, Andy. He said, I'm not going out there to be a hero. I know what I'm capable of, and I just want to learn. He has been battling away, but he says, guys, this car is good now. We've adjusted the right way. Takes a few laps to come around, but it's getting good. And, guys, he moved his way all the way up to 11th. So keep your eye on this 10 car. He just may end up in the top 10 before this race is over.
Meanwhile, the battle up front, Keselowski has managed to pull away from Kyle Busch. And a little bit further back, Joey Logano's gotten around Ricky Stenhouse, bumping him back to the 5th position. So there's your top 5 after 145 laps, and they're literally less than a second apart.
The Kansas Speedway in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, with now 3/4 of the race done. As Brad Keselowski leads Kyle Busch across the start-finish line, you're looking at the gap between the top 2. Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. round out the top 5. There are 23 cars on the lead lap, a race that started with a long 67-lap green flag run, then had 6 cautions in a 66-lap period, but we're under the green right now. Still one critical set of pit stops to go, and a lot of strategy to be played out here in this final quarter of the race. And as you look at the top 5, let's go up to speed and start with the 6th place runner, Eric Almirola and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Eric Almirola, Alan, complaining the car is very, very tight. He's been searching for a groover to see if he can get the car to change a little bit. He just came over to radio a moment ago and said, don't let me run the top anymore. Don't let me forget it's very bad up there. I cannot get the car to turn. It's just way, way too tight. They have one more set of sticker tires left. They'll put them on in about 30 laps. Vince.
The 98 of Paul Menard is running 7th, and Menard also has one more set of sticker tires left. They've been hanging in the top 10 throughout much of the day today, and that's kind of been their MO throughout the course of the season. They just can't seem to get over that hump and to run consistently in the top 5 to put themselves in position for a win. They are 5th in points, and they're in a car that they call Old Faithful because they feel like it's their best. We'll see if they can gain a couple of positions here in the final stages. Doc?
Give a call to Brendan Gaughan, debuting a brand new crew chief today here in Jason Overstreet. Now, they were not a factor for about the first 75 to 80 laps. The car now, a couple of adjustments, track bar, air pressure. They have said, on it, I got to give Jason at least a B+, debuting as a crew chief here, because right now they have gotten Brendan Gaughan up in the top 10. Dave.
Doc, Martin Truex has picked up 5 positions since the restart. That's because a very tight race car in traffic is now freeing up for him. And if you like what you've seen today, well, you'll see Martin 2 more times for Diamond Waltrip Racing the rest of this year. California and Texas in the 99 car. He'll be sharing with little brother, Doc.
And Justin Allgaier talked about the fact that the car was very, very tight early on. They made an adjustment. The car got loose and was free throughout the turns. They made an adjustment again. Now the car's not too bad. Pretty good turning. Of course, Justin Allgaier would like to be able to get to victory lane. Also, by the way, looking for a full-time ride in 2011. Dave.
Doc, Josh Wise was looking pretty sporty in that 7 car at the last restart when he was 5th, but he's dropped back to 11th now. The car was really tight. He just radioed that it's getting looser now. Maybe he can work his way back by the 12 and others in front of him. Jamie?
And Carl Edwards, what an eventful day. Started 4th. You know, this is what he considers his home racetrack, but he had a tire going down earlier, slapped the wall all by himself. After 6 pit stops, even fixing the toe, he has remained on the lead lap and working his way into the top 10. It has been an accomplishment so far. Vince?
You got to tip your hat to the 66 of Stephen Wallace. They came in today with a 20th starting position and then had to come into the pits early because they had a tire rub in the left front. Come in under green. That put them behind the 8 ball early on, and they've continued to drive their way forward. He's up to 13th now. On the last stop, they made a bit of an air pressure adjustment to help snug it up a little bit. They had a really good practice on Friday. Felt pretty confident coming in, and it's been a good run for the 66 as they've recovered, Jamie.
And it's been a great run for the Monster Energy car. Just behind him of Ricky Carmichael, the winningest rider in motocross and supercross history. Of course, this is a sponsor that's come with him through the ranks. He's been racing the Truck Series this year and, of course, last season as well in his rookie year. The car is getting better. The driver is getting better as the laps go on. His first time ever in a Nationwide car. Now, behind him, Jason Leffler. He had one hot rod early on, but a little bit of damage on that right front fender has just knocked his day off. They think they have that damage fixed right now. The car not behaving as it was, but it is getting better as he tries to march toward a top 10. Doc?
Behind him, Colin Brown being shown in 16th position. Colin, of course, the shuffling of race cars this week. This car wasn't supposed to be on the racetrack. The car he was going to drive being driven today by Trevor Vane. But a pretty good job adjusting track bar, wedge, air pressure. Colin now climbing back up toward the top 15. And oh, by the way, the crew's been joking with Colin all day because this morning he parked his car in the driver's parking lot without a pass, and he got it towed. They said, don't let that be the only car you get towed here today.
All right, Doc, Colin Brown, again running back in 16th position, and there are 23 on the lead lap. Couple things focusing forward toward the end of the race. Caution flag comes out, everybody's on pit road, right?
Everybody's on pit road, that's right.
What happens if we don't see the yellow? When are we going to start to see some of these front runners hit the pit lane?
Lap 175, I'm looking for everybody about another 17, 16 laps before everybody's on pit road. And according to my numbers, I got a bunch of them down here, Brad. That's when they should be in.
I'm looking at your paper. You got numbers everywhere, but that seems to be about right. About 175 to 177, we should see these guys coming down pit road.
Andy, what's your paper look like up there? Because I'm telling you, Rusty's he's carried the one a lot here down here.
Yeah, I don't think he's not too far off. I think they may be able to stretch it just a little bit farther than that, but it'll be in that range. And we had some of those cars that made pit stops there with about 65 to go that can stay out, and some of them may be able to make it. I don't know that if there's enough good cars out there that can make it. There may be one or two.
My question to you then is, do you want to be one of the first to pit?
Well, okay, then the caution comes out.
No?
Then what?
Yeah, both these guys aren't racing for points, and Brad Keselowski's got a huge points lead. When he had his tire problem earlier in the day, Brad Keselowski, he had to pit, got off sequence, made up a lot of time during that time. So I think it's worth a gamble.
Yeah, this is the perfect situation to do that short pitting, Marty. Just, all kidding aside, because you can make a lot of ground. I mean, if you come in and get tires, you can pick up about, a half a second or more, 3/4 of a second a lap, and that can play out by the end of the race. If you can do that for 10 laps while the other guys are on old tires, it can put you way up in the running. So it'll be a gamble worth taking for some of these drivers.
Well, right now, Keselowski's lead is 1.1 seconds over Kyle Busch. You see Harvick right behind Kyle by just a couple of car lengths. Then it's Joey Logano and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. rounding out your top five, with Brendan Gaughan and Eric Almirola 6th and 7th. And this is really the first time this race has calmed down in about the last 75 laps. I mean,
and that's what I'd be looking at on the pit box as a crew chief. What's the race looking like right now? Does it look like it's going to go green? You see a lot of cars kind of spread out. You don't see a lot of hot spots out there where you have some young drivers maybe racing each other real hard. And then you can make that decision. I think what I see, I think I like. I'll just make that early pit stop and see if I can't turn that into some time on the track.
The 23 of Robert Richardson, you see him on the low side. He is currently running 31st, 3 laps down, as all of the top 3 contenders easily get past.
The highest running car that might be able to make it would be Jason Leffler. He's 15th. He made a pit stop at 135, which would be 65 laps to go. That's kind of right at the edge, or the outside edge of the window of what is doable. So if anybody could make it, it's probably Jason Leffler. Don't know if he's close enough to take advantage of it or whether he can make it actually on fuel. He made that pit stop after having some problems out on the track, so it kind of forced him into that strategy.
Well, he has not been able to reel in Ricky Carmichael yet, as also Stephen Wallace. They're pretty much running in formation, 13th, 14th, and 15th. Let's get an update on that 5th place car, Doc.
Yeah, guys, Ricky Stenhouse, what a great run he's had today. And, we talked about fuel mileage. Mike Kelly just told me they're about 6 or 7 laps short of making it, but they think they may be getting better gas mileage than they thought earlier. So they're just going to hope that they can roll the dice and maybe stay out there. If they get a caution flag, stay out and maybe steal one. After all, by the way, it is our driver's birthday. It would be a nice birthday present if we can hang on and get him a win here in Kansas.
He'd have to go about 83 laps, though, to make it to the end. That's if he does it, I'll be impressed.
I think everybody would be. Basically, also what we saw at the first green flag run.
His last pit stop was lap 117, so he's got quite a few more laps he'll have to run than Jason Leffler would.
That's our new Chevrolet.
On board there with Brad Keselowski. He is making